Well, hello, 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 and welcome back to Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop rock and prog. Welcome back, everybody. This is a solo thing today, and I figured I would do something a little bit different today. I have a couple different themes on my channel, and I figured I just had a kind of a brainwave this past week, and I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of fun to do some debut records, some great debuts, right? I already did this a little bit because I did one video with Davey Cretin. Davey and I are going through the Cars catalog, and I believe the first, the debut Cars record, I labeled that video as an excellent debut. And and I figured that's kind of a cool idea just to kind of start doing some debut records and kind of go through some what I consider great debuts. And so it kind of brought me to the guy that I've got on the wall behind me, Mr. Bruce Springsteen. And because I always loved his debut, and my shirt's giving it away, obviously. I was at the shore, I was at the Jersey Shore last year, and I saw this shirt and I couldn't resist it. I think it was like everywhere. Like you could get the postcard, you could get the shirt, and I just thought the shirt was awesome, so I had to get it. And I do love this record. So it's Bruce Springsteen's Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, which was his debut record. And it's funny. Growing up in New Jersey, obviously Bruce Springsteen is everywhere, and my brother-in-law was always a huge Springsteen fan, and it took me a long time. I got to say, it took me a while to really get into Bruce. My first big impressions of Bruce was more like Born in the USA. And when that came out, that was like an assault. I mean, that was like he was everywhere, and it was almost like too much. I mean, he was all over MTV just constantly. And that album, spawned like six singles, and it was almost like the Michael Jackson, it was crazy. Like the Michael Jackson Thriller thing where that album just exploded and he had a massive tour and it was just Bruce fever and it was everywhere. And honestly, I remember at that time thinking, God, I'm getting kind of tired of Bruce Springsteen. Like he was just like everywhere. And I wasn't that excited by some of those songs. Like I didn't really love Glory Days, and I'm Born in the USA is good. I mean, it's a good record, but it just I don't know, I got a little bit tired of it. And so I kind of turned off on Bruce a little bit because of that. And but I still liked the song. I still love My Hometown. I mean, that album's great. I mean, in retrospect, I do like that record a lot. But it just at the time, it was a little overwhelming. And honestly, I was kind of into different music at that time too. And so I couldn't get into it that much. And so, um, but it took me a while. And then I finally, what I'm getting at is that as I got older, I started getting more and more into Bruce because it just takes you a while to I don't know what it is about his music, it seeps into you, and as you get older you kind of understand his lyrical themes a lot more. And I don't know, there's a lot of music that I like, Darkness on the Edge of Town and The River, and I got really into Darkness and The River. Like those were the two that really hooked me. And once I got into those records like deeply, I was like, oh man, I became more and more of a fan, and I started digging more and more into his whole discography. And that took me to the first two records, Greetings from Asbury Park and Wild Innocent and E Street Shuffle. So once I got those two, I was like, oh, these are different. Like these are even sort of different. These are more like R&B, almost Van Morrison esque. The full band takes are kind of like that. They're sort of soul-y and kind of R&B ish. And like I said, I always think of Van Morrison, when I listen to the first two albums. So anyway, I'm getting off on tangents here already, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick rundown on this record, and then I'm going to discuss it some more. But I do think that this is a great debut. I love that he's. Oh wait, I gotta move the vinyl. Hold on a second. I was going to show you. I just love the picture of him on here. I love the sort of scruffy guy with the beard. It's funny when you look at this record when it came out. I'm sure they were just like, "Who is this guy?" It's this little postage stamp, and he's just smiling, and he just looks pretty scruffy, and he looks like a scruffy dude from the Jersey Shore. And it's just interesting. So Greetings from Asbury Park. Okay, released January 5th, 1973 on Columbia Records, of course. Recorded at 914 Sound Studios in Blauvelt, New York, I think is how you say it. And this was like a little tiny little studio in the middle of nowhere that was super cheap. So not the greatest studio in the world. I'll get more to that later. But that was just done for purely financial reasons. I mean, they did get an advance from Columbia, but I think they wanted to use that money for other things as well. It was recorded July to through September 1972. The singles were "Blinded by the Light" and "Spirit in the Night." More on that later. In the U.S., it got to number 60, and in the UK, it got to number 41. And I think that didn't get to 41 until 1985, when the whole Bruce mania exploded, and with Born in the USA. So, but Bruce Springsteen, I mean, he had been playing hard, he'd been playing rock and roll since he was like 13 years old. I mean, like, pretty heavily hard, like, he started young, and he got into bands early. He was in the Castiles. He was in a band called Earth. He was in a band called Steel Mill. He was in all these. He was like, what was it? The Sonic Boom, Dr. Zoom, and the Sonic Boom. He was in all these different bands, just band after band after band, and he was a rocker. I mean, he was a full-on rocker, frontman, guitar player, and I think Steel Mill probably got the most attention. He almost got signed with Steel Mill. I think Bill Graham was interested in him. He played in the Fillmore West and opened for somebody big. And Bill Graham did like them a lot and said, "Ooh, I might want to sign you guys." And I think for some reason, they looked at the wording. They didn't want to sign it. It was something weird about it that he didn't want to do. I don't know. Anyway, it didn't happen ultimately, but he was playing a lot, and he was getting noticed by musicians around the whole Asbury Park scene. He's obviously originally from Freehold, and then would spend a lot of time at the Jersey Shore, and that's kind of where he would play a lot, and that's where he got to know a lot of people, and other musicians started to notice him because he was around quite a bit, and he was getting better and better all the time. So, but what I'm getting to is Bruce. Things happened for Bruce finally big time in 1972, because that's when he met Mike Appel. He was managed by somebody else for a while, and then I think it was called Tinker West, and then they introduced him to Mike Appel, and Mike Appel was just like, wow, this guy is. I think he saw a paycheck. I think he saw money when he heard Bruce. He was really impressed with the songs, and he thought, oh my God, this guy could take me to the top. I really do. And I think most managers feel that way. I mean, most great managers, Peter Grant, name them off, right? Who else? Brian Epstein, Peter Grant, people, all the great managers, Mike Appel, John Landau later with Bruce, they all see dollar signs, right? When they're ultimately, they love their artists too. They love the music, but I think they see like, oh, this is an opportunity for me if I get involved with this artist to make money ultimately. And I think that Mike Appel saw that in Bruce, and he saw the intensity of that Bruce portrayed in his. He was 110% into music. That was it. Music was his life. And Steve Van Sant says it all the time. He's like, when I met Bruce, and he's like, the two of us were like freaks, because we were just all music was that was the our life was music. That was it. We played music, listening to music, talking about music, playing music. That was all they. That was it. They ate, slept, and drank music. And I think that Mike saw that in Bruce, and he he took Bruce under his wing, and Bruce became his life. He was 100% Bruce. Like, there was no other artist. It was just he was just managing Bruce. So ultimately, he signs with Mike Appel, which was Laurel Canyon Management. Mike basically barges into Columbia and gets time with John Hammond, who was like a very famous A&R guy at Columbia, who had signed Billie Holiday and Bob Dylan. So he was famous. He was famous for having these great ears. And Mike just blagged his way into the office somehow, got in there and said, "I have this amazing artist, and you have to listen to him." And it's crazy, but it worked. I mean, I guess he had so much passion that it was just there, so much passion and conviction about this guy that I think it just got, it got John Hammond interested in. Okay, well, let's hear this guy. You think he's so great? Let's hear him. It's just curious, and so they brought Bruce into the office, and he sang a couple of songs on acoustic guitar, and I mean, I think it happened pretty quickly. I think John Hammond was like, okay, whoa. Like, I mean, think he played. I mean, you can listen to it on tracks. You can hear the demos that they recorded. You can hear John Hammond like Bruce Springsteen, pop artist. What does he say? Pop audition, Bruce Springsteen, number 5532. It's hard to be a saint in this, whatever he says. Mary Queen of Arkansas, take one. So you can hear Hammond talking in on tracks. It's really cool. And then he plays Mary Queen of Arkansas, and I think John Hammond was pretty impressed with Bruce and was like, oh my God, okay, this guy is really good, and he saw him as this acoustic, folky troubadour kind of guy, and because he had heard the original songs, he heard on acoustic, just Bruce and a guitar, no band. And at this time, Bruce was focused more on, from what I understand, he was focused more on being an acoustic solo artist. He was kind of like, at this time, he felt like he could make more of an impact as a solo artist than with a band, with a full band. For some reason, I don't know why, but actually the proof is in the pudding. If you do listen to those songs acoustic on tracks, the demos, they're pretty powerful just as an acoustic song. Um, so, and because just because of the words, I mean, his words were just unbelievable, right? And we'll get more into that later. But his lyrics were just, I think that's what blew everybody away. It's like, oh my God, like, these are really poetic and interesting, and like, wow, this is just, the lyrics are like blowing me away, kind of thing. And I think that's originally what kind of took, John Hammond's socks off. Like, okay, we're going to sign this guy because he's just very poetic, and I love the lyrics, and I love the songs are great. So, so anyway, so that's what Columbia saw him as, right? So when he went in to record the record, he was like, oh no, I don't want to just do acoustic songs. I want to bring my band in. So they did sort of a compromise where, the album ended up being sort of like half band songs and half acoustic-y songs. Um, and he didn't bring in the full E Street Band as we came to know it. I think the players on the record are, and I think he lists them on here. Um, it's Vinny Mad Dog Lopez on drums, um, Clarence Clemens comes in on sax, Gary Tallon on bass, David Sancious on piano and organ. Harold Wheeler plays piano on, I think, Bruce plays piano on. Does he play piano on this? He doesn't. Oh yeah, he plays piano on Spirit in the Night. So, but but anyway, yeah. So it's not really the full. And then Richard Davis plays upright bass on the Angels. So that's. I mean, it's not the full E Street Band, but there are some of the guys that will eventually be part of the band, obviously. Um, and the next album, he brings in the full band, but this album he just brought in bits and pieces. I think Steve Van Zandt was part of it originally, and then they said, no, you're not really needed. I'm not, like, I don't know why, but I have a feeling Appel had something to do with that. Like, I don't really want, because Steve used to be pretty opinionated. I think he probably didn't want another. He's like, we got enough people with opinions going on. Let's just not. We already have a guitar player. Bruce is a great guitar player, so we don't need, you know what I mean? It was one of those. I think that's what happened. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, um, but the album was done, right? And they handed it in, and it had like a different track list. And Clive Davis, who was the president of Columbia at the time, heard it and rejected it because he said, I don't hear any singles. There's got to be something that's a little more radio friendly, because I think everything was, I don't know, it's just, he just didn't hear any songs that would be playable on the radio. I had that other track list somewhere, but it's some of the other songs that were like something about Fort Hood or something. There was a couple of other songs that didn't make the album. Um, but or got kicked off because, so Bruce basically went and said, okay, fine. He went and like immediately right away wrote two more songs for the album, which was Spirit in the two singles, which Blinded by the Light, Spirit in the Night. So those were the two singles, and once Clive Davis heard those, I guess he said, okay, these are single worthy, so that's cool, so we'll put this album out with these two songs on it. So and and it's interesting because those singles really didn't do anything at the time, but they ended up being huge, like singles, or not single. They ended up being big songs for people like Manfred Mann, who I brought this over here. I had to bring this up because, I mean, they made "Blinded by the Light" a number one hit. on this album. And they did an amazing job with it. I mean, they completely just like fired it up and did a different arrangement. And this is a really cool version of that song. And so it's amazing when you hear like, wow, they took that song and made it a number one hit. It was almost like Bob Dylan again, you know, where the Byrds made Mr. Tambourine Man a number one song from his song. It's kind of like that with Manfred Mann, and Manfred Mann did it again. It was this one was Blinded by the Light, and then another song from the debut record, For You, was on this, Chance, and they do a really cool version of For You on this. So Manfred Mann was obviously a very big Springsteen fan, because they kept covering his songs, and they would do cool versions of them, really. So anyway, this is a good record too. I just listened to this the other day. This is cool album. I like this record. Um, but so anyway, so yeah, so other artists were like picking up his songs and making them hits. But at the time when he put them out as Bruce Springsteen, they were not hits at all. They weren't even close. I mean, this album did not sell that well at the time at all. Um, anyway, what else we got? So it got, but how right? So it didn't sell very well, but it got critics went kind of nuts. Like it got a ton of press. It got a lot of ink, and a lot of people were saying, the whole new Dylan thing, which was kind of like sort of like yeah, that's cool, but it's also kind of an albatross. It's almost like a new Dylan, like, oh, that's a lot to live up to. Like, really? Because Bruce did love Dylan, and he was like, "Wow, I don't know if I'm the new Dylan. I don't," and I think he sort of resented that as much as it kind of caused a lot of like cool, like it's cool, but it's also like a lot. So it's one of those things. Like he used to be very wary of hype, right? Oh, sorry, I seen a little drink there. He was always very wary of hype and too much hype, and there's more of that comes later in his career where he gets really uptight about it. But I think it all started with this album, and it started with Appel, honestly, because he would basically say like, this guy's amazing, he's unbelievable. I mean, he was like hyping him just to get attention, like he's a cross between, what did he say, Chuck Berry, Shakespeare, and Bob Dylan or something like that. It was like, and he was shouting to the rooftops, basically trying to get people converted to this guy, which is, he's just doing his job as a manager, right? But it caused a lot of like all this stuff started to leak out, and it started to get more like, wow, this guy's really getting hyped like hard. He must be really, you're kind of come in like, okay, this guy better be good after I'm hearing all this hype about him. So I mean, that's, as an artist, that kind of sucks, right? You don't want people like judging you before you even play a note, right? But it did make him work really hard. I mean, he ended up having to work really hard because people would kind of come in with attitude, almost like, okay, let's see how good you are, kind of thing. So he would have to prove it over and over and over again. So which he did. To his credit, he did it. He did it in spades over a couple years. He worked his ass off. That's one thing about Springsteen I love, is how hard he worked. His work ethic was just unbelievable. And he did, he worked his way through it. But and he even says in an interview, I was watching an interview last night from him, in I think it's 74, something like that, and he says something about they hype you and they don't need to. So he was like, he was wary of the hype, because he was like, if you're a good artist and he said, you're either going to make it or you're not going to make it, regardless of the hype or regardless of people hype you. And he said, if you're a great artist and you write great songs, you're eventually going to rise to the top. You don't need the hype. You don't need it. And he's like, if you're not any good and you stink and you don't write good songs and you can't play, then yeah, you're going to need the hype. So that was kind of his attitude. So it was almost like, look, I can do this without the hype. You don't need to hype me. I think that was his kind of thing. So anyway, but what's interesting is that this album really, over time, it didn't do anything at the time, but I think as over time it's become more and more revered, per se, I guess, in his catalog. I think, people went back to it, especially after the whole explosion in '85. People went back to the previous records, and honestly, I think that people over the years, it's become more and more. It's gotten on more lists for like greatest, albums, greatest debut albums. It's on more lists in recent, like last 10 20 years. You're seeing it more on lists. And I think it's just because it's a great record. It really is. When you listen to it, you go, wow, this really is an explosion of creativity. I mean, this, you know, when I just listened to this a couple times getting ready for this, and you just go, man, this album, it really has so many ideas on it. I mean, I think he really wanted to make a big impression of it, just like anybody does on their debut record, right? You got years and years of stuff built up, and you want to throw it all down like really quickly and be like, here's all the ideas I've had in the last 10 years, you know. Um, but I think one of the reviews said something about like he puts more ideas into one song than most people put in a full album, you know. And I think you hear it on songs like "Blinded by the Light," for example, just the wordplay and all the every. I mean, how many words period are in that song? It's just insane. Um, and then things like "Lost in the Flood." I mean, it's just some of the imagery in that song. You know, when he's talking about people getting trashed on that holy blood and out on the street, and then what does he say? Nuns, pregnant nuns, pleading immaculate, you know, Inception, things like that, and it's just very cool. And then does this bus stop at 82nd Street? Um, you know, I mean, I can start go through the record. Blinded by the Light, obviously everyone knows that one. Great song, great intro. I mean, just the way that it just hits you with like this verse after verse. I mean, and this is where the Dylan thing kind of came in, because the words and the lyrics and the playfulness of it and the literacy of it, like kind of somebody said it was almost like half street punk, half bookworm, and that was like a great way to say it. Like that's kind of what it feels like on this album. It's kind of like street poetry, you know, and but it's just the just goes verse after verse. You think it's over and it just keeps going. It's kind of like Blonde on Blonde or something. There's a couple songs on Blonde like that. Um, and then Growing Up. I mean, Growing Up became such a great live song. Um, you know, it's interesting because like this version is very good. I like the version on this record, but when you hear the live version on the, you know, the 75 to 85 album, it's just like, damn. I mean, when the band just really leans into it and it's a great live version of that, it's like, oof. And he does the sort of in between the breakdown where he talks about his life, and it's just like, whoa, you get goosebumps from it. So it's like it becomes even better in a live setting. Um, Mary Queen of Arkansas, another great track. And again, this was the song that like Hammond loved, and I think he was like, you know, this whole album. I think he wanted the whole album to be like this, where it's just like stripped down, acoustic, a little bit of harmonica, like way in the background with lots of reverb on it, lots of echo. It's kind of eerie, but it's cool. It's very cool. Um, does this bus stop at 82nd Street is a cool like he apparently wrote it on the bus. That's what he said claimed. And hey bus driver, keep the change. If your children, give them names. Yeah, bless your children, give them names. Don't trust men who walk with canes. Drink this and you'll grow wings on your feet. I mean, just stuff like that. Where you're like, what is he talking about? But it doesn't matter. It just comes out. It's so the way he sings it, it just sounds so great coming out. Uh, the lyrics just come out so great. So anyway, "Lost in the Flood's" another great track. I mean, side one is just unbelievable. It just really never lets up. Um, I talked about this one already a little bit. Um, and then what is it? Hey kid, you think that's oil? Man, that ain't oil. That's blood. Wonder what he was thinking when he hit that storm, or was it just he just lost in the flood? Um, just ugh, so good, so good. Um, I think I said Inception, Immaculate Conception. I was looking for that word. It's been bugging me ever since I said that. I know that was wrong. Sorry. Immaculate Conception. That's what I meant to say. Couldn't get that word for some reason. Anyway, really cool. Side two starts out with The Angel, which is another acoustic track, um, and goes into For You. And I mean, For You is great. I mean, I came for you, I came for you, but you did not need my urgency. Um, in your life was one long emergency. And I think it's it for you what he says they're waiting for you at Bellevue. It's just it's great. So great. I love that. I love that line. He says something about they're waiting for you at Bellevue. which for you that not on the East Coast, that's a mental hospital of sorts. Um, anyway, yeah, in New York City. So anyway, Spirit in the Night is the other single. Again, he wrote specifically for the record, and Spirit in the Night's another one that's great on this record. It's kind of like a tale of a night out with friends, basically a late night. Like, let's go out to Greasy Lake, and there's all these different characters, and they're all hanging out and drinking and kind of partying, basically. And he's got a girl with him, and it's just he gets hurt, and it's just like they're just having a great night out in the sun. Feels like a crazy night, party night in the summer, like going out some lake in the in the middle of nowhere and just having a good time. But this is another song that just came alive on the live. I mean, the live versions that you hear, you're like, oh my god, like Spirit in the Night just comes alive when he plays it in a live setting with the band, with a full band. Especially like I think there's the '78 versions from the Roxy, just like oh my god. Again, those are from the live box, but they're so good. I mean, I just love the Spirit in the Night version on that, so good. And just yeah. So anyway, um, Hard to Be a Saint in the City. It's another killer track, and I think this was one that forgot to mention. David Bowie actually recognized Springsteen early on as like wow, this guy's really good. He heard some of the songs and he was impressed, and I think he did like he recorded a couple versions. I think Hard to Be a Saint in the City was one of them. He recorded a couple covers, and Springsteen went over to England or something, or I can't remember. I think Springsteen was in England, and he ended up hanging out with Bowie because Bowie was so interested in him and his songs, and was covering him. So he was like, "Hey, I want to meet David Bowie." And then sure enough, there's pictures of them hanging out. I don't know if Bowie was in America or if he was in England. I can't remember. Maybe somebody can tell me in the comments um, if you know. But that ends the album, and it's just like again you hear the he does the demo on tracks as well, and you can hear the sort of like he's just doing this really strident acoustic, and it's he's got that I was the king and I was crowned king down at the beggar's bash, and I what does he say? I was the pimp's main prophet. I could talk some trash. I mean, it's just such again, it's some awesome lines. I mean, just great. It's one of those songs you just go, man, I wish I could write that. Like, it's just there's something cool about the way he puts words together and the things that he. I mean, obviously he worked hard at it. I mean, he would have notebooks full of lyrics, just full of songs and full of lyrics and just things crossed out and just filled. I mean, like notebooks like this full, this thick, filled with ideas and lyrics. And he would edit himself. Like they show some of those you can see some of those on the Darkness box. If you get the Darkness Deluxe set, they have like they show like little they make it's almost like a recreation of his writing in those I'm losing my thought. I'm losing my thought process here. I'm having a rough day today. I don't know why. In his notebooks. Good Lord. I'm gonna need to drink more of this. I'm having brain problems today. And also, you see his notebooks in. They showed the notebooks in some of those documentaries that they did on Bruce with from Darkness and Born to Run. They show some of them, and it's insane. It's like full. I mean, it's like this, but it's like everything's crossed out. There's like you see like all the editing he's doing, and it's just insane. Like, so he worked hard at it, but it pays off. It pays off on in albums like this. And I love that he did the Asbury Park postcard as the cover. I thought that was really cool. I do think it's a great cover. And Bruce was the one who was like, no, he picked out a specific postcard and said, put this on the cover. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah, so that's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think I might do more great debuts. I might do more Springsteen, just go through the catalog, because now I'm dying to do the next album. Now I want to do Wild Innocent and East Street Shuffle, because that's a cool record too. I mean, that album is like so uncompromising and so, I mean, it's got really long songs and I mean things like New York Serenade and oh my God, Kitty's Back and E Street Shuffle and oh my God, I mean that album is just filled with great stuff. And Sandy, oh, I mean it's that album is just oh so good. I mean, and that's another album that didn't sell anything but got so much. I don't want to talk too much about it because I'll probably do a whole episode on it. But that's another album that really didn't sell much of anything, but again got huge kudos from critics. Critics were paying attention, and it was getting reviewed like crazy. And like I guess Columbia was not even paying attention to it when it came out, and it got so much press that they had to pay attention. So that stay tuned. I might do another. I'm going to do another, you know, another episode on that album because that's worth talking about. I mean, really, I might have to go through Bruce's catalog because I'm such a big fan. I'm going to have to go through every album. I'm not going to do battles with him. I'm just going to go through records, just like I did with I'm doing with the Cars, like Bowie. I kind of did with Bowie a little bit. I'm going to do more of that with Bowie. Maybe more with Logan Collins. We're going to do another album. We're doing that with album battles, kind of going through the records. But anyway, um, I hope everyone's doing great. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trying to keep this one kind of short. But I might do, if you like this debut thing, I might do more debuts. So that just be something to, like a sort of a theme to kind of hang my hat on for a little while. Because, if people like this, I might do more of it. So thanks again, everybody. If you hung in this long, oh, let me know in the comments what you think of this record. I want to know. I watch, I read all my comments. I try to respond to everything, actually. So that's how I roll here at Curless Mania. So, also, go check out, if you haven't checked this out, go check out, I just did a video with Bicycle Legs. It's another great channel, music channel. We've done a couple things together now, but we just literally, our most recent one was we ranked the Traffic discography, another great band. And that was really fun. Did that with him and really enjoyed it. And if you like Traffic, I think you might enjoy it. It was really hard, actually. It was hard to place those albums because there's a couple. The top four were so hard. It was really tough. But we figured it. I did it. But even afterwards, I was like, I don't know if I did the right list. I don't know if my list was right. It was one of those. But anyway, I enjoyed doing it. Check it out. Bicycle Legs. Go to his channel. Check that out. And appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit like and please subscribe. That's all I can ask you to do. It just takes 2 seconds. Hit the subscribe button because it just helps the channel to want me to do more, and if it helps me to encourage me to continue this journey that I'm trying to do on this channel. So if you like what you see, please hit subscribe. It helps me a ton. And thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Curless Mania. Later. Go listen to some Bruce. See ya.